Just to be clear, this is not a shit talk fest for Diablo 4.
Hey everybody, my name's Timer, and I am going to be talking about Path of Exile, the new season, Affliction, and comparing it to Diablo 4 and Season 3. Or Season 2, Jesus, what are we at? We're Season 2, right, that's right. Path of Exile Affliction League has been out for 2 weeks now. I've been starting to grind it, really learn how to understand everything, and it's a lot to understand. I have been taking a lot of advice from streamers and other people that have played Path of Exile before, and I am using a build guide, which my build, by the way, is I've been wanting a meteor build, or just like full-on Armageddon. And the closest thing I saw to that was a Firestorm with the Firestorm gem, so I am using a Firestorm build, following it on Path of Building, which is another thing that people have been explaining for me to use, which, if you don't know, Path of Building is a third-party software to help you kind of min-max your build if you're really into that type of stuff. I love it, one, because I have no idea what I'm doing, and it's helping me understand the tree in Path of Exile. And also, I just love deep diving, reading all the numbers. Like I'm kind of I get into that stuff. I like seeing what the damage output is, comparing stuff. Say like, hey, maybe if I go this way, it'll do this, or so on and so forth. And I just like it. Now a comparison of Diablo 4. I've been playing since Season 0. I was really into it at the start. Had a blast with the campaign. The campaign was great, going after Lilith, the storytelling between that and everything. I started out with a sorcerer, and I was doing a fire build, and I wanted to do a meteor build, kind of like how in Diablo 3, but that's not, let's just say the meteor build for a sorcerer is just junk. I tried so many different things of using the passive ability of having the lucky hit chance, but then you try to increase the lucky hit chance and all this stuff, and it just never worked for me. Compared to Path of Exile, I'm playing this Firestorm build, and it just feels like I am raining down meteors all the time with this build, and it's just so much fun. But Season 0, I went to about level 80, stopped playing, got bored. One of the things I kind of got bored of was just the never-ending nightmare dungeons, this re-rolling, rerunning, and blah 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 blah. There was no end game. The end game is just meh. It's nightmare dungeons. You run nightmare dungeons nonstop, so on and so forth, and it just got boring for me. So like around level 80, I maybe went after I went after like Uber Lilith maybe a few times, and I never defeated her in Season 0. I was actually I had to switch over to sorcerer with ice spikes. I think it was ice spikes was what's technically called, because it was just one of the more broken builds, or it was, I should say, I was having fun with it, but also was able to clear high level nightmare dungeons. And then we had Season 1 of Diablo 4. I played another sorcerer, and I regret it entirely. And I also just like I only got to like level 20 on my sorcerer, and I just I was not having fun with Season 1. I didn't care for it. My sorcerer didn't feel strong enough, especially we had resistances that were just broken at the time. And obviously with intelligence, it scales off of for the sorcerer. I didn't have resistances. I was getting one shot at certain levels of nightmare dungeons where my buddy who plays a druid was just like full on tanking stuff. It was kind of irritating, and it just kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't care for it. I stopped playing. Season 2 came around, and this is where the new bosses came out and everything. I think we had 5 of them. I started playing a barbarian because I wanted to mix it up. I didn't really want to play a sorcerer that season. I went with an upheaval overpower build because of the changes they did to overpower were pretty crazy, and they're really broken right now. Where you were able to just like one shot Uber Duriel No biggie. Also, I would say is what we have now in season 2, it should have been season 0 for Diablo 4. If season 0 started off like that, I feel like Diablo 4 would be in a much better place and it would be praised a lot more than what it is now. Obviously, I'm not saying it's hated. It's just that it had a rough start and it is getting better. And I am excited for season 3. I'm not saying I'm not going to play season 3. I'm going to play season 3, which I think is going to be at the end of, I think like in the end of January or something like that, if I remember. But right now, Path of Exile has always been something that's been on my mind. And I've played the Trial of Ancestors, which was the league before. I only made it to level 40 with my, I think I did a witch elementalist and I was following a cold dot damage. I think it was like an ice nova, like dot damage. I can't really remember. It was a bit go. It was a while ago. I think I got discouraged more of it's just stuff I didn't know. I think there were some other games that were kind of going on around the time and I just kind of stopped playing and I lost interest. This league, Affliction, I was really excited for with the transfigured gems and everything. I thought that was a really cool idea that Path of Exile is doing. They are taking these gems, which there's hundreds of these gems, and now they're adding, oh hey, you bring it to this crafting table in the labyrinth and boom, it has a different type of passive ability to it. I love the thinking and the creativity that Path of Exile has, and that is what's drawn me more to Path of Exile, and I'm really committed. Like I'm running an Inquisitor Firestorm build, and I'm sitting at level 82, something like that right now, and I'm having so much fun with it. And I think that was the other thing compared to last season and this season is I wasn't fully invested with that build. It was just something I think I wasn't liking. I just kind of went with a league starter build that was getting me through it, and it was like one of the highly more recommended ones. But once I found this Firestorm build and it gave me that like a little bit of remembrance of D3 with Sorcerer Meteor, I was like, this is what I've been looking for. I'm having so much fun. Another thing that's been really keeping me invested with Path of Exile is learning the currency system. There's so much different types of currency. You have Chaos Orbs, you have Divine Orbs, you got all these other little pieces, scrolls to identify pieces of armor. You have Orbs of Fusing, just everything from here, change the socket colors of your armor to, hey, we're going to try to add links or take away links. It's all that rolling. But this is something I love that D4 sadly does not have. I'm able to get more intricate and focus on, hey, this is what I want this piece of armor to be. Where D4, it's like, here's just the random set of affixes. Good luck. Oh, that's not the one that you didn't get. Guess what? Try running through Nightmare Dungeons again to hopefully get the rolls that you need. Because the whole crafting system in D4, which it's not even a crafting system in my opinion, you go over, pick one affix to change to take away, and then hopefully roll for something else. I just don't care for that system in my opinion. It's just kind of lazy compared to like what Path of Exile does, where it's like, here you have a crafting recipe for plus this amount of elemental damage and blah 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 blah. Like, I like having the control of, here, let me put all my time and effort into this. Now let's see if I can make what I want. Also, the other thing is all the seasonal mechanics that have been implemented into Path of Exile. I can't compare this to D4 because obviously we are on season 2 of D4 and Path of Exile is a 10-year-old game. But everything from what I've played so far with like Heist and the one where it's like the gray peacock that shows up in the middle of the map and it changes some stuff. What's the other one? Expedition. I think it's Expedition, where you plant the little explosives and then blow them up and monsters show up, but then you have the chance of some good loot and stuff. It's just all that types of different things in the game that breaks it up, where it's not you're repeating one thing after another. And no, I have not finished the campaign yet. I'm only on like part 8 of Act 2, which I'm right there at the end if I do recall from what I've seen from people. I'm looking forward to learning how to map, or the whole mapping system. And I'm really looking forward to doing some of the endgame bosses. I've seen videos of the endgame bosses and watching the mechanics that you have to do, and actually have to dodge stuff where you'll just get one shot if you don't, and so on and so forth. And that's stuff I'm really looking forward to actually grinding towards. Where D4, yes, they've added like Duriel and everything, but even Duriel is very easy. My upheaval barbarian build, I one-shot him. And the same thing with Lilith. I can go into Uber Lilith with the overpower upheaval and I can one-shot her. Kind of. Got to go through all of her stages, even though you do one-shot her. But like I kind of said at the beginning, this isn't a video to shit on Diablo 4. It's more of like showing what it's kind of missing and what I would love to have, which Path of Exile has. I would hope to God is D4 would get up to that level, or add stuff to where it gets at least close to it. I'm not going to expect all of that like what Path of Exile has. It's just too much, and they kind of focus more on the casual player base. They're going for the numbers. They're not going for those hardcore players that want all of this stuff. Like, yes, it is very intimidating to go, hey, to learn this game, you need to follow a build guide. Now you got to have another window open, follow that word for word, so you don't end up bricking your build. Bricking, aka, it's not like D4 where I can take my passive tree, take away all those skills, re-roll it, and then rerun my passive tree. Path of Exile, I can't do that. I have a limited number of refunds that I can get, which is something that does get annoying because it's more of like, okay, now I got to make a new character if I want to try something else. So that's something I wish would be, or wish something Path of Exile might consider, is like, hey, you can re-roll all of your passives, rebuild your tree again. They've been doing it for 10 years. That's what they've been sticking with. Let them have it. Something that D4 has added recently is something I have not played yet, but I've seen videos, and I have just kind of heard the rumblings of what people have been talking about with it. Arbiter Azir, I am not interested in doing whatsoever. Yes, I can see it's more of end game content that we've been looking for, but I'm seeing very high level streamers that do this full time that are struggling with this, or getting one shot. Like, what is the point of trying to do this stuff if you can't even get past like tier 2 without being one shot? Also, I think it's 800 sigils of powder to make one of the sigils for the Arbiters here is insane. That means you're gonna have to run through numerous nightmare dungeons, which I mean, that's all part of the game, but nightmare dungeons can get very repetitive very quick, and you just get bored. That's something that happens with me, is I just get bored doing all the nightmare dungeons. And another thing they added, which I think is a nice touch, it's a little bit of like a, I just call it a snowy helltide, but the midwinter blight event, it's pretty much just like a helltide. You kind of run around, you get these bells. Once you get enough bells, there's a bunch of skins that you have a limited time to get. They go away at the end of January, so you have a decent amount of time to do it, and you can kind of just show off like, hey, I got the winter skins. It's a cool touch. It's something to kind of show off like, hey, I did this event. So I'm not gonna knock them. I'm not gonna knock them on that. Adding like extra content for people to do, that's a good thing for the game, is to add content to do. But I just see Path of Exile stuff, especially like the Affliction League right now, where you show up in one of the portions of the map. They have the little hole that you go into. You go through, do the event. It empowers enemies. You have the little wisps. You go running around trying to find the Warlock or the Primalist, and you have like a secondary ascendancy that you can work the tree on. It's all stuff that's just like, oh, this is like extra stuff that I can actually do, compared to D4 where it's like, I'm just gonna reskin a Helltide and then you run around and do this, blah 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 blah. But I will say, I am loving Path of Exile, Affliction League. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm trying to get the end game so I can start mapping and doing the bosses. I'm really excited for doing all of that. D4, like I said, I still love playing D4. It's just I wish there was stuff. I wish there was more. I don't think I'm going to get more, but I wish there was more. But I can also say it's a casual game. It's for casuals, and it definitely fits that narrative of being a casual game. So if you are someone that is into action RPGs, D4, and you're just like the dad from that works the 9 to 5 and they only get a couple hours, guess what? D4 is perfect for you. I'm kind of in the same boat. I have a full-time job, I have a family, I have a kid, but Path of Exile, it's just so much fun for me. I have so much content to do. I'm still learning stuff and I want to learn it. I'm just interested and I'm invested. But it is definitely not for the casual player. There's people that are not going to sit there and go through one of these third-party softwares to go through a build and everything. They just kind of want to do whatever they want to do and go start killing monsters and get loot. But in the end, I would say Path of Exile is the game for me. I'm going to continue playing it. Obviously, when Diablo 4 Season 3 comes out, I'm going to play it too. I'm not dropping Diablo 4. It's just right now, Path of Exile has my time. Like, if I want to contribute my time into a video game right now, it's going to be Path of Exile. Let me know what you guys think about the new league for Path of Exile. What do you think of D4? How do you feel about D4? Hey, what are you even playing in both of the games? Or ones that you're not even playing at all. Or you can just sit there and tell me I'm stupid, I don't know what I'm talking about. But of course, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I probably will be live on Twitch if you can check me out at twitch.tv/timer. Love you all. See you in the next one.